Yo, what's going on, boys? Charney here with another video. And in this video I wanted to talk about how trading, in my opinion, makes you grow up really fast, bro. It really does. It makes you grow up really fast, and it makes you almost mature way faster than you would like a lot of the times. And I want to talk about how, if anyone's trading here, you guys can probably relate, but the more you trade, in my opinion, the more faster you really do grow up and you mature. And it's really weird. It's like, you start, you stop chasing dopamine, okay? You stop chasing dopamine off the rip, and you start just thinking in terms of like risk, right? You start thinking of terms and risk and numbers and just trading terms, just pure trading terms. And I have a lot of things written down that I wanted to go over here, and pretty much wanted to talk about how you start thinking about money, risk, business, and your future, while others are just focused on normal teenage stuff. A lot of you guys, I'm sure, the second, probably the month before you got into trading, bro, you were just living a normal teenage life, and you're just like actually found fun in a lot of things, right? You enjoyed life a lot more, and you wasn't stressed, bro, and you just didn't really have a care in the world, and you're like, wherever the wind takes me, bro, I'll just go, and you're just kind of going with the flow, bro, and you don't really question too much. But the second you start taking trading seriously, bro, that all changes. Like, you genuinely start to mature like 20 years as soon as you start to trade. And it kind of sucks, bro. I'm not going to lie. It kind of sucks because you start thinking in terms of, focused on money and risk and business, and you're overall, you're focused on your future, bro. You're thinking about your future while these, a normal teenage kid your age, bro, if you're just getting into trading, right, and you're young, or if you're older, right, that's different, right? But when you're first getting into it, you stop thinking like a normal teenage kid. And that thought process alone, when you stop, thinking like a normal teenage kid, you're already jumping 10 years ahead, bro. You're already jumping 10 years ahead, 15 years ahead, off the rip, just doing that, bro. Literally just starting to trade, and you think about that type of stuff, you're jumping ahead, bro. Your maturity level is going way ahead, bro. And your old self is already stuck behind. And you mature so fast in that type of realm, I should say. And it feels like your mindset is aging faster than your actual age, okay? And, it just comes with the pressure of knowing that you're building something while you're young. It comes with a lot of stress, okay? And then the other thing I've written down is like, for example, bro, I'm in Florida right now chilling, right? And when you go and try and like go places and go on vacation, I should say, and stuff like that, bro, you don't enjoy it. You genuinely stop enjoying it because your mindset of trading, at least this is just for me, bro, but I really don't think it's just for me, is like you can't enjoy anything, bro. Like you can enjoy it, I should say, but you're always thinking about like the next step. And when you're a teenager specifically, bro, you mature so fast through trading because you're thinking of just your future, you're thinking of risk, you're thinking of business, you're thinking of all of these things, that you do something like, go on vacation and you're chilling out and you're trying to, do this or do that, and you can't, bro. You're constantly stressing about everything. And when it comes with that, it's not maybe only just stress. I know the way I think about it is I have that entrepreneurial mindset of like, I'm constantly thinking of ways to make money. When I go and do something fun, right? I go and do something fun, or I go somewhere, the thought process you have is, because you matured so much, I swear, through trading and just thinking in terms of risk and future and listening to older people and stuff like that, you go and do stuff and you non-stop think, how much money is this guy making? Wonder what he's doing. How did he get in that position? How did he get that car, right? and you go somewhere else and you're just like, I wonder how much money this place is making, off rent. I wonder how much this place is making, how much did it cost to jumpstart this? Did they use a loan to do this? Or did they do this up front? How many years, with this hotel that I'm staying at, take to pay itself off? I wonder how many of these owners have this. I wonder how originally they got into it. And it's just like, you flood your mind with questions in everything you do, bro. Like, everything you do, you go to park your car somewhere, right? And you pay for parking. Boom. That's another thing, bro. You start sitting there and it's like, okay, how do you get into this, right? Where's the money come from this? What's your upstart cost for this, right? Do you have to buy it? Do you have to pave it, right? Should you buy it with it paved, or should you put your lines down, whatever, you charge? How long does this take until, this is paid off? Is this something that could be, give you consistent income and this and that? You're asking all these questions nonstop, and it's like everything you do, bro. Everything you do, and it's because and it's like I think about that stuff all the time. It's like I can barely even enjoy anything, bro. It's like you're just thinking of how to do this, how did this guy do this, and it's like, I'm 19. It's like that's all I think about, bro. And it's, and you think back of like, okay, where did that stem from? It stemmed purely from trading. It stemmed from the fact of you're learning a skill set that's really, really hard, and you're learning a valuable skill set that's respected by a lot of, older dudes that have been in this game for a while. It's a respected skill set that takes a while to learn. And when you're going through the struggles of that, your mind just starts to naturally mature itself, bro. You start to naturally mature yourself because you weed out all of these bad habits that make you immature, okay? Trading matures yourself because you weed out the bad habits that make you immature, okay? That's low-key a quote, bro. That's honestly the best way I can put it, because trading will expose everything you have wrong with you. Trading's going to expose every single thing, right? If you're greedy, if you're trying to chase dopamine, right? If you can't stay patient, all of this stuff, it's going to weed that out one by one. And how does that weed it out? Well, it weeds it out by not showing you any consistency at all. If you're greedy, you're going to keep blowing accounts. So finally, you figure out, hey, the market's exposing me and showing me that I'm greedy. I need to fix that issue. And when you fix that issue, you start to weed that issue out of in and of yourself, in and out of your soul, bro. Because trading affects every single thing you do. So you weed that out of trading. You're weeding that out of everything you do. You're weeding greed out of every single business you're going into. You're weeding greed out of, every relationship you're going into. You're weeding greed out of, anything you're getting yourself into. You're weeding that out of yourself, bro. So when you do that, right, and you have another thing, right, and you're impatient, well, the market's going to expose that to you, right? If you keep, you can't wait for a good setup and you keep placing trades, well, guess what? It's going to be unprofitable, and the market's going to expose you and show you that, hey, you're impatient. So what do you have to do? You have to weed that out of yourself. What is impatient as a definition? Impatient is obviously not being able to wait as the, definition of impatient, but impatient is someone that's not mature, right? Someone that is not mature does not have these assets, right? They do not. Someone that's immature has greed, has impatience, has all of this stuff, right? Has the chase for dopamine. But someone that is mature weeds everything out, right? So when you're trading, that is why I say when you start trading, it makes you really mature, because trading exposes all the flaws and one by one weeds them out of you, right? It weeds all of these bad things out of you. So then, when you go through the trading journey, you end up on the other side, and before you're even profitable, right? Before you're even profitable and passing accounts, just as you're going, you're becoming more mature. And it's like you could be a young kid now and with a 40-year-old mindset. Like, I'm literally 19 and I swear I think like a 50-year-old, bro. I swear I sit here and I think like a 50-year-old. Of like, how's this guy have money? Wonder what he did, just stuff like that. It's like the whole, being young and like going out partying, getting drunk, and doing all these things, and like, bro, it just seems so lame to me. It's just like, it seems so lame at the point in time I'm in right now, bro. It seems so like stupid, and it's because I feel like I'm just coming from a mature mindset because of trading. literally because of trading. Now, I'm not saying, oh, don't have fun, you have to lock in 24/7. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the typical immature stuff that everyone's doing. Once you really trade, it makes you mature to not want to do that stuff. You don't care to do that stuff. You're not hating on anyone that's doing that stuff, right? If someone wants to, party 7 days a week and drink 7 days a week and not do anything that week, I don't care, right? I'm not hating on that person. By all means, go do that. I don't care, right? I'm just saying that is something that I'm not going to do because I don't care to do it, and trading personally weeded out all of my bad habits to not do that. And it matures you, bro. It matures you for the better, in my opinion, overall, right? Even though there's some times where it's like, you feel like you can't enjoy yourself the way you used to because you're always in this mature mindset of like hunting, right? You're always like hunting for more, or how did this guy do this, or wonder how much this company makes here, or like you're always hunting for that stuff. And it's because, trading weeds out the bad habits like I explained, but it also shows you the money you can make in the terms of risk, how much to be risking, how much you can be making. Risk to reward is a great representation in trading, but risk to reward applies to every single other business, but you learn it best through trading, in my opinion. When you're straight up risking $100 to make $400 or risking $1,000 to make $4,000, everyone understands that risk parameter, right? Where risk to reward is a little bit harder to learn through, maybe you're buying out you're starting to buy out a house and rent it out and this and that, right? Maybe you don't understand risk to reward, learning it in that perspective, but you understand it perfectly from trading. And trading with risk and staying patient and like just doing all of these things, you start to look at all these other businesses of like, okay, I can build this, but you start to look at it in a mature way of like, okay, I understand risk, I understand patience now, I understand how much time this stuff makes, I understand my return on investment, I understand all this stuff. And it's like, it all instills from trading, bro. It makes you such a mature kid that like I can't even explain it, bro. I literally can't even explain it. It makes you super mature in that sense of it, and you kind of struggle to relax because your mind keeps comparing and analyzing to everything else. Okay, that's another thing I've written down. And with that, I also have noted you become obsessed with the how, right? So what I mean by that is you see success and you're immediately trying to reverse engineer it and go back to step one of, okay, how did this guy do this? How did this guy do this? What did he do next? What did he do next? And trading stems it, but it's also just entrepreneurship as a whole. It's just, you're on the hunt for money, bro. You're on the hunt for success and stuff like that. And I think it does all stem down to trading because, maybe for some people, owning big businesses was their main thing. Then they get into trading. Well, of course, they have all the skill sets from the businesses and stuff like that. They already think in that entrepreneurial mindset. But I think trading is that stepping stone where just you understand all that stuff, and I guess it just makes everything a gray zone, in my opinion. It makes everything a gray zone. There's just no more like, I don't know how to word it, bro. Like going out and enjoying all this stuff, not a worry in the world. And it's just like once you have that trading skill set, you understand all of these valuable assets. You understand the aspect of risk reward and risk and stuff like that. One, you're focused on trading, of course, but it opens up a whole mindset of when you see, okay, these guys are wealthy trading, these guys trading own this company, these guys also own this company, this guy started with this company. It's like trading opens up all these doors of, it's just not just trading, it's all these entrepreneurial businesses. And in my opinion, bro, it's just, you're obsessed with asking how, right? Even when someone is trading professionally, you're obsessed with asking, how did he place this trade? How did he learn the way he learned? How did he start? How did he make this other business that funded trading? It's always how, bro. And you'll run yourself in loops trying to figure that out. And I think that's also another maturity thing where it's like, no normal dude is wondering that, bro. Someone sees a nice car and it's like, oh yeah, a nice car. But it's like, how did he get that, bro? Like, how, in my opinion, like, how is no one questioning these things, bro? Like, how is no one questioning seeing a crazy nice car and being like, how did he do that? If he can do that, I can do that. Like, getting down to the core of it. Like, I want exactly how that guy started and how that guy got that car right now. Like, I want it right now. That's the level of I guess thinking you just get to. And like I said, it just kind of, trading just kind of makes you mature in that sense of just wanting to look deeper into everything. And I think I already touched on this topic, but I want to talk about how trading forces you to face yourself. And that's realistically, that comes with being mature. When you're mature, you start to blame everything on yourself. But when you're immature, you start to blame it on other people, right? In trading, you don't have that aspect of blaming things on other people. You don't have that luxury, right? You go and work a job, you fuck something up, you might have someone else to blame. You do something else, you might have someone else to blame. You're in a business with a business partner, you might have someone else to blame. But with trading, you do not have that. It's yourself. And I think that's another level of maturity, and why trading kind of makes you mature so fast. It's because it's just yourself, bro. You mature in the sense of, like, you quit fucking around and, like, blaming shit on other people. It's you. It's literally just you. It's you. Like, you have to figure this out. If you mess up that day, it's your fault, bro. It's your fault. So you're mature so fast in that sense, where it's just like, I think another thing is, like, other people being young, it's just always blaming things on other people. They're immature in that sense. They're immature in that sense of just blaming nonstop things on other people, where it's like, when you come from the aspect of blaming everything on you, you become super mature, bro. You become numb to, like, what other people's doing, and it's just like, if you did the right thing, then you're chilling, bro. It's just, you're focused on your day-to-day habits instead of, like, everyone else, bro. You're not worried about it. And I think, again, trading exposes and picks at each one of these things one by one by one, and it weeds it out of your system, and slowly it builds you more mature, bro. Like, I'm telling you, like, 6 months into trading, completely blowing accounts, but I looked at the world completely already differently than I did those 6 months ago, just in the basic form of stuff. It's not talked about, bro. Like, trading genuinely matures you in that sense. And another thing I've written down is, you learn that money does not come from excitement. Okay, and I think that has to do with dopamine and being immature, of like coming across some money or gambling even, or all that stuff. You become mature in the sense of realizing that things take time, and that's pretty much it, bro. Things take time to play out, and money's made by doing the boring stuff repeatedly over and over and over and over again. And I think the immature mindset is thinking that money's just gonna pop up randomly, and maybe you just gotta gamble and win it all, right? Like, I think that's the immature mindset. And trading makes you mature in that sense as well, as it makes you patient, and it makes you understand that things take time. And the same thing I was talking about, how trading will make you look at other people, other wealthy men, and, like, how did they get there? How did they get their, how did they get the stuff that they have? You start to realize that, okay, well, they did not make their money in an excitement, orderly fashion. I would say that, they made their money most likely in a long, boring way. Right? They made their money in a long, boring way of, investing in something, letting it play off, years later, and just doing that stuff over and over and over and over again. It's like they're making the money the same exact way. The immature mindset is thinking that money's just going to come randomly, and gambling, right? Just that type of stuff. Trading makes you mature in that sense, bro. Trading makes you mature in that sense of just being patient for the setups to actually play out, being patient in developing a skill set that's going to take, years to develop and make a insane return on your investment of time. And I think it matures your way of thinking in that mindset. That also goes back to, like, you'll be driving around in a city with a bunch of money, and you'll just look at things and be like, that guy that bought that, right? He probably bought that for X amount of money, right? It probably took him, 8-9 years to get that return on investment, that he paid that off, but now he's making, X amount of money a month. I wonder how much money is going into, monthly upkeep. And it's just, your brain starts thinking in all these mature ways, and it stems from trading. It all stems from trading, bro. It stems from trading. It stems from your way of thinking about money. And we boil it down one more way. It stems down to trading. Literally, when you get into the market, it takes yourself and it molds you into someone that's irresistible. It pulls out all the bad weeds from you. It pulls out impatience, greed, dopamine, all that stuff that your body craves. It weeds that stuff out one by one. It makes you more mature, and it makes you a better thinker. So that's what I have to say about that, about money and excitement. And chasing action usually costs more than it pays, as well. Trying to chase stuff nonstop, like the gambling, right? It's going to cost more than doing the boring stuff that's actually going to pay. Another thing I've written down is you start sacrificing normal fun for future freedom. That's another thing that sounds cringy, right? It sounds super cringy, where it's like, oh, you stop doing fun stuff. I got to lock in my room and I don't talk to anyone, this and that, right? It sounds like the normal, typical cringy stuff of like, okay, buddy, like whatever, right? The unfortunate part is it's absurdly true, because the normal kid doesn't realize the technology that's fucking out there right now with Anthropic and Claude. It gets to the point where it's like I can't even explain it, bro. You have access to, listen, 10 years ago, right, the access to the internet was amazing, right? We had drop shipping taking off, the access to just openly order products from different countries and send them to your clients, and keeping the money in the middle. Like, that whole aspect in 2016 was insane, right? That whole aspect was crazy, right? And there was a lot of money to be made there. The same thing now, bro. People do not realize it's gotten 10 times more with Anthropic and Claude, where literally at the click of a button, you can click and you can ask it to build you any software, any API, and code anything in the world you want it to code, bro. Do anything you want it to do. Create you any business layout, head to toe, and then you just have to do the work. You can do anything. When I say anything, I mean anything. Any thought that you have in your mind right now that you're like, I wonder if I could do this and do this and do that. Yes, you can, bro. Yes, you can. With enough Claude code and asking it to do things, it'll create you anything you want it to create you. And it's like, it's to the point where it's like, bro, you going out, 2-3 nights a week, going to do stuff and hang out with your buddies. It's like, you guys do not realize 1 hour. There was a study on that. I believe actually Elon Musk is the one that said this. 1 hour, literally at today's age with Claude, the stuff that I'm using and a lot of these other kids are using, with 1 hour of time and asking it to do the stuff for you, you can beat a full day of working employees in a massive skyscraper of all of them working on their computers and all this stuff. You can just completely outcompete a $1 trillion building, right? You can completely outcompete a $1 trillion building and what they were getting done 5 years ago with the average 18, 19, 20-year-old can do from his MacBook in an hour with Claude. Elon Musk is the one that said that, right? And it's 100% true, bro. The stuff you can build it's stupid, bro. It's literally stupid. So it's like the whole saying of you start sacrificing normal fun for future freedom. You get to the mature sense where it's like, bro, it's you want to go have fun and stuff like that, but it's like, when you're exposed to the stuff you can build in such a short amount of time, and the stuff you can just literally nonstop build, and then see it play out and play out and play out, it's like you become addicted to just working on yourself and building shit, bro, building shit for the future. And it's like you become mature in that sense of like, you don't even want to go out and have quote unquote fun, right? Like waste time and I'm not saying you can't talk to your friends or something like that. I'm just saying, bro, like, you guys don't realize the stuff you can be building at a click of a button, that you can literally outcompete entire skyscrapers of employees in an hour. Like, you can completely outcompete them of what they're getting done, and you can do that, bro. But like, I think time becomes a lot more valuable when you know that, when you're exposed to that and you see that as possible and you see that it's right there, bro. That's all you want to do. That's literally all you want to do, is just go out there or stay inside and just do that and do that and do that and do that. And it's like, you make so much work done so fast. It's like, you don't want to go out there and do anything, bro. You really don't. And I don't blame the kids that don't, bro. And I really don't even want to do that either, bro. It's like, a lot of people don't realize the stuff we have at our fingertips, bro. And it's like, that paired with the mature mindset of like, you can build anything, right? It's just the amount of time that contradicts each other as well, I think, because right, you want to have the patience mindset of like everything's going to take time, right? And everything does take time to build, right? It takes a lot of time to build, but it's like the tools we're provided with now, like Anthropic and stuff, you can create anything pretty much instantly. And it's like you can create all this stuff instantly, you just can't create money instantly, right? So it's like it gives you that gap of like you can create anything, but it's like now you just gotta wait on the money aspect of it, right? You just gotta wait on that aspect of it. So it's still, it still provides, so you still gotta have patience and stuff like that. But that was another thing I've written down, and I thought that was pretty interesting because a lot of people have looked at that as like a cringy thing, right? And it's like, oh, can't hang out with my friends, I'm locked in, this and that. And it's like, the funny part is it's just like there's truth to it, right? I understand trading, right? Once you're crazy good at trading, you can only get so much back testing data, this and that, right? I understand it, but with the AI stuff we have now and the ability to just unlimitedly build nonstop every single day, it's like you're stupid to not just build stuff every single day. Like right now, Claude's building me something. I prompt it, boom. I'll let it go for an hour, and it'll build me, an entire website, an entire software if I wanted to. It'll build you anything. It's stupid, bro. It's insane. So it's just like, you have another employee just going for you nonstop, and it's like when you have that, bro, it's like you don't want to quit. And yeah, that like I said, that goes with trading. Like you can't backtest forever, but with something like that, bro, and the power of AI we have now, you can literally nonstop create stuff wickedly fast. So I wanted to talk about that as well. And another thing I have is social media makes it worse. With the whole maturity thing, you grow mature and stuff, but social media, man, it really contradicts everything because it's showing all this crazy stuff that's fake. I'm not going to get too much into it because I talk about it in all my other YouTube videos of you just don't know what's real on social media. You don't know what's fake. You don't know what these guys are actually buying, what they're renting, what their actual trading P&L even is, right? A lot of these guys are just buying as much accounts as they can, one-to-ones, and the second they go green, boom, screenshot, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all this stuff, how I hit this trade, and it's like, join my course, and it's like, these guys don't even have verified track records. It's like, you don't even know what you're buying. I don't understand some of these people. But when you see the nonstop stories and these YouTube videos, it's easy to feel discouraged, right? It's easy to feel discouraged of like, you got to have stuff now, but you got to remember that's the impatient self, right? Of wanting things instantly. I'm not saying you shouldn't want things instantly, right? Like we all want to have stuff instantly. I want stuff as fast as possible, but it's very immature to not have the patience, right? Not have the patience for things that actually takes patience to build, right? That's the very immature mindset to think about things, and going with that, it's just like all this stuff's fake. Like a lot of this stuff's fake, and social media ruins your perception of it because it's like things are supposed to work out really, really quick, and it's like they're just fixing the gap in the market, right? The gap in the market is people want to trade, right? And there's very few, people that selling trading communities, because here's the thing, guys, trading takes years to develop, right? A lot of these old guys are, that have been trading for years, they don't really, they're not all tech savvy, bro. They're not just whipping up discords and all this stuff. They're in their 50s, they're in their 60s, bro. Like, these guys aren't doing that, right? So what it comes down to is the really young kids that have like a year or two of trading experience, and have, no clue how to trade at all. It's different if you're finding consistency and you're like, yo, this is how I found consistency. If you want to see how I found it, go ahead and join up. If you don't, like, whatever, right? And that's like what I do personally, but it's like some of these kids are claiming, they have it all figured out in like a year. And it's like they're bridging the gap of how many people want to trade right now compared to the actual people that can trade. Well, the people that can trade are really old and they're not all this tech savvy right now. So it's like you have this gap of like kids that are like, yo, let's fill this gap. Let's just LARP and show as much stuff as we possibly can, show crazy lifestyle, and have, Discord feed that lifestyle, and we just keep it running, and it's like they're filling the gap, bro. They are filling the gap, and at some point in time, though, I do believe that gap's going to get filled, and it's like it's not going to last forever. So you have to understand that aspect of social media and understand what's kind of going on as of right now, and not get caught up in it, not trying to chase that type of stuff. Because like I said, when you're chasing that type of stuff, a lot more times it's going to be a lot more costly than what it would be just staying patient and just building an actual skill set as well. So I'm trying to read through my notes here, boys. Another thing is, I did say you become more disciplined and serious and responsible really early. Like I said, that just all stems from trading, bro. Like, as you go through each stepping stone in trading, you do all those things earlier and earlier and earlier, and it's just like you become really mature early, bro. You start feeling pressure, anxiety, and all this stuff from constantly chasing the next level, which is like what people with families feel, bro. Billionaires with families is like, they never rest, and it's like you have that feeling at 19 because you're exposed to what's out there. Trading makes you exposed to risk, right? It makes you exposed to building a skill set. It makes you exposed to the money you can make. AI now makes you exposed to the absolute insane work you can complete instantly at a click of a button. So of course we're fucking stressed, bro. Of course we're worried about the next level. Of course you do not want to stop working, bro. It's like every day it's like computer, camera, and it's just like document and work, and it's like back to back, and it's like we've never been exposed to this much shit in one lifetime, bro. We never been exposed to this much, right? Trading, you wasn't even able to get on TradingView and just casually place trades 15 years ago. It's 15 years, bro. It's not even that long. I think a lot of this stuff wasn't even available 10 years ago as well. I think FTMO, which is the longest prop firm that's been around, started 10 years ago. That's it, bro. So 11 years ago there was nothing. Just over 10 years ago there was literally none of this stuff. And it's like 10 years later we have trading, plus we have artificial intelligence building us anything we want to at a click of a button. Of course we're stressed and worried about the next level, bro. Duh. Like of course we are, bro. Of course we are. And I wouldn't say it solely stems from trading, right? Trading plays a role because it exposes you to, again, like just building an overall skill set, listening to people that have traded before and made lots of money, and it's just like you start to mature in that sense. But it's like then you pair that with the tools we have to build stuff now, and the technology and the internet and all this stuff. It's like, bro, it gets you in this loop of like next level, and it's like you can't chill out because it's like so much of stuff is exposed to you, right? We have a dude that was probably turning into a billionaire only 50 years ago, bro. What did he have? Well, really no internet, right? No internet at all, no technology, stuff like this. And it was probably like, let's go buy this building and just get our hammers and shit and just fix it up and sell it, right? Okay, that worked. We got some money. Let's buy this other house here. Let's try and fix it up and let's try and sell it. Okay, that worked. Let's try and do this thing here. And it's like you kind of go with the flow, and it's like you're not handed 1,000 things at once, and it's like you can do anything you want to do at any time. Think of how insane that was. 50 years ago, people building up their billionaire selves and creating in these insane businesses, right? That's what they started from, and they probably wasn't insanely stressed at the very beginning, right? Like, of course, obviously, they want more and more, but it's like you compare that to someone that's handed everything we're handed right now, the stress levels do not compete, in my opinion. I don't see how they would. I really do not see how they would at all. You're handed anything, your mind's going to go through like, oh my God, I can create this, and it's like your mind can't comprehend of how much time it takes to actually scale up to that, right? You're handed all these AIs that can just create you anything, but then you're not handed the patience to understand that this shit takes time, right? That you're not handed that stuff because you're handed the tools to do it instantly, which they didn't even have 50 years ago. And I guess trading contradicts that, where at least builds yourself some patience, gets rid of your greed and stuff. So in my opinion, having that trading there kind of weeds out the bad things that you do to yourself that you can apply to other businesses. So I know I kind of got a little off topic there from trading maturity, but I think that's a great topic that needs to get touched on. And the last thing is, obviously the goal is freedom, right? And it's not becoming a prisoner to success. Starting trading or business for freedom, you want to start it for freedom and not constant stress. The problem is it's very easy to say that, right? Because that's why everyone got into it, is you want to start it for freedom and not stress. But the freedom, unfortunately, only comes years later, right? This is the hard stuff that we have to work through. You guys go and look at Elon Musk, right? You guys go and look at him 20 years ago, giving office tours, bro. The dude was a fucking animal. He's a maniac. Any of these guys that have changed the game, they're insane, bro. And it's like, okay, they're doing all this now for freedom. But it's like, yeah, they have the freedom to do what they want, but it's like, you fall in love with the work as well, bro. I mean, look at them now. All of them are still absolute maniacs, right? They're still working because you fall in love with it. You fall in love with it. I think another thing is people are like, oh, you work all the time, right? Like, you should, you work all the time. Like, it'd be better just going to get a job, this and that. But it's like, okay, bro, like, you work a job that you hate, right? You work a job that you hate, so no wonder you want to go there. And it's like, cool, you get paid, right? And it's like, okay, I'm finally off, And you look at someone that's doing their own business, it's like, dang, bro, you're working all the time, this and that. Where it's like, bro, if you like what you're doing, you don't want to stop. Like, I think that's something that's not talked about, is if you like what you're doing, you don't want to stop. This wind is getting absurdly bad. If you like what you're doing, you do not want to stop, bro. So, you kind of have, the freedom. I'm going to pick this up. You kind of have the freedom, right? You want to build the freedom, of course, and not have the stress, but it's really hard to do both, right? It's really hard to do both. I think at the end of the day, trading, business, and stuff like that, the biggest thing is having financial freedom, right? Because that has a cushion. But realistically, we're all going to be stressed about the next step, bro. Like, I could get $20,000-$30,000 in payouts tomorrow, right? I could do that, and I'm gonna be, it's gonna be nice in the moment, but I'm always gonna be like, okay, what's next? It's never gonna end, bro. So just get used to it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only reason God has you. Be thankful that God has you doing that, right? Because if you wasn't chasing for more, then you'd be stuck in one position. So you want to be stressed and want to be thinking about the next thing. I know I kind of went off on some random stuff there, but I just want to talk about how personally trading has kind of matured me, and I think it matures a lot of other people really, really fast. But it's also very beneficial, I think, because it provides you skill sets that you look into other businesses and you can use, and it provides you a way of looking at life in a completely different realm, bro. You're looking at other businesses and just thinking about different stuff, bro, because trading opened your eyes to the money you can make, right? To the sheer money you can make without working a job. That's, of course, if you come into trading first before doing any other businesses, and I think most people do. But trading, just opens that eye of, like, there's money to make. There's a lot of money to make. There's people that's been making a lot of money, and they don't work a job. And it's like, okay, let me look more into this. Like, how are they doing this? And I think trading alone opens up that door and that window to go and just look at everything else completely different, bro. You're looking at everything else of, how did this guy start this business? How much is he making? What's the risk reward on this? And all of these questions, bro, that normally you would not ask yourself working a job, right? Working a job, you would see somebody like, oh, that's a nice hotel. That's nice. That's a nice car. I'll keep going about my day. And it's like, when you're doing this stuff, bro, you're hungry, bro. You're hungry and you're asking for more. And it's because trading matured yourself, bro. Trading made you a better person. Thank God for it, bro. Thank God, right? Look at all this beautiful stuff, bro. Created all of this shit, bro. And he put trading into your life, right? He put the ability for you to learn the skill set into your life. So use it, right? And it's going to mature yourself to then look at the world completely different, right? Weed out all of the bad habits, because trading is exposing everything bad that you're doing. Weed out all the bad habits, and from trading you can go and look at all these other business ventures, which you should be doing regardless, because you shouldn't be only trading, and you can go look at them with a new lens, because you understand the money you can make through doing other stuff like trading and not working a job, right? When you see that, you start looking at all these other businesses, bro, and all this other shit. So that's what I want to talk about in this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I just want to talk about how, again, trading, in my opinion, really matured me, and I think it matures a lot of other people as well. People I talked to, bro, 6 months ago that started trading, they think of everything completely different now, bro. They think of everything completely different. And another thing with that is, like, when you learn trading such a hard skill set, there's other business models that, you know, of course you can't scale to like the insane amount you can with trading as easily, I think, in my opinion. But they're a lot easier to make money up front with, because you're learning a skill set that's really, really hard. If you start getting good at this skill set that's really, really hard, guess what, bro? You can probably go and start this other business that's not too hard to start making money with up front, right? Of course, when you have the trading skill set, you can, you know, take those accounts and copy them into infinity, right? And, you know, expanding a hardcore, you know, business you can't do as easily. But you guys get what I'm saying, right? You get what I'm saying of when you have a really hard skill set down, you can, you know, you realize how hard it is, and it's like, you're just like, oh shit, I can go do this other thing for a lot easier. So that's what I want to talk about in this video. That wraps it up, guys. 41 minutes here, so I'm going to end this. And if you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys enjoy these talking point of views, bro, and me just yapping, bro, let me know. Comment, subscribe, bro. I really appreciate for all of you guys watching, bro. And I'll see you guys in the next one.